Pain is not a curse, it's a mirror. It reflects who we truly are when everything else is stripped away. It's easy to talk about faith, patience, and strength when life is calm, but pain exposes the truth of our inner state. It reveals whether we truly trust the one who controls our destiny, or if our belief only survives in comfort. Pain has a strange beauty. It burns away illusions, but it also opens doors that comfort could never unlock. When you're in pain, you stop pretending. You stop chasing what doesn't matter. You begin to see the world and yourself with raw honesty. That's where transformation begins. We live in a world that fears pain, a world that seeks to numb it with distractions, entertainment, and endless escapes. But no one ever grew by running from their wounds. True strength doesn't come from comfort. It comes from surviving discomfort. Every person who has risen from darkness, who has found peace after chaos, will tell you the same thing. Pain was the beginning of their awakening. It was the point where they finally met themselves. When you feel broken, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that something within you is ready to grow. Pain removes the masks we wear. It humbles us. It reminds us that we are not in control, and that's exactly where divine mercy begins to enter. Think about it. Mercy doesn't find you when you're standing tall and unshaken. It finds you when you've fallen, when your heart has been shattered, when you've tried everything and nothing worked. That's when mercy whispers, "Now let me take over." You see, pain has a purpose. It isn't random. Every ache, every delay, every heartbreak is a message written in divine ink. It's not meant to destroy you. It's meant to reintroduce you to the one who created you. Sometimes, what feels like breaking is actually bending you toward something better. The problem is, most of us give up too early. We mistake the weight of transformation for punishment. We pray for strength, but reject the process that builds it. You cannot have growth without struggle. The seed must crack for the plant to emerge. The dawn must break the darkness for the light to shine. So when pain arrives, instead of asking, "Why me?" start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Because every pain carries wisdom, and every hardship hides mercy. When you shift your mindset, you start to see that pain doesn't end when life becomes easy. It ends when you understand its purpose. The moment you realize that pain is not your enemy but your guide, something inside you changes. You begin to walk differently, think differently, pray differently. You stop running from your tests and start walking through them with calm assurance that something divine is unfolding behind the scenes. That understanding brings peace, because now you know that even in your suffering, you are being protected, purified, and prepared for something greater. So when you're in pain, don't curse it. Don't rush it. Sit with it. Listen to what it's trying to reveal, because pain is never permanent, but its lessons are. And once you truly learn what it came to teach, mercy begins to flow. You start to feel a stillness that no chaos can shake, a hope that no despair can kill, a light that no darkness can hide. That is the point where pain ends, not because it disappears, but because it transforms. And where transformation begins, mercy is already waiting. Mercy is one of the most misunderstood gifts we receive. Many people think mercy is only about forgiveness after a mistake, a soft hand that wipes away our sins. But mercy is far more than that. Mercy is a shift in perspective. It begins when you stop resisting the journey that was always written for you. When you stop fighting life's direction and start flowing with its rhythm, that's when mercy enters your heart. It's not that mercy wasn't there before. It's that your resistance kept you from seeing it. Sometimes what you call pain, God calls preparation. What you call loss, He calls protection. And when you learn to see that, you start realizing that mercy was never absent. It was just disguised as difficulty. We spend so much of our lives wrestling with what we cannot control. We plan, we strive, we push, and when things don't go our way, we feel betrayed by life. But mercy begins exactly where resistance ends. When you surrender, not in defeat, but in trust, you allow something greater to take over. You stop trying to force outcomes and start aligning with divine timing, and in that alignment, peace quietly descends. It's in that stillness that you finally feel the gentle presence of mercy. There's a certain kind of exhaustion that comes from constantly fighting what's meant to be. You can feel it in your body, in your mind, in your prayers that sound more like complaints than conversations. And then there's another kind of exhaustion, the one that comes just before surrender. It's when you've done everything you can, and you finally whisper, "I can't do this alone." That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because the moment you release control, mercy rushes in to take its place. That's when the burden starts to lift, not because the struggle disappears, but because you no longer carry it alone. Think of mercy as the soft light that follows a storm. The storm didn't vanish, it passed. The damage may still be visible, but the calm after it feels like a new beginning. That's what happens inside you when you let go of resistance. The storm of fear, anxiety, and frustration clears, and what's left is clarity. You begin to see that what was taken from you wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to realign you. The closed doors you once cursed start making sense. The tears that felt endless turn out to have washed away arrogance, pride, and false attachments. Mercy doesn't just forgive your mistakes. It reshapes your heart so you don't repeat them. The beauty of mercy is that it transforms pain into purpose. It doesn't erase the past, but it changes how you see it. Suddenly, what once hurt you now humbles you. What once broke you now builds you. Mercy makes you softer, but not weaker. It gives you a strength rooted in acceptance, not resistance. And that's a strength the world can never take away. You begin to look at others differently too, more patiently, more kindly, because you know what it feels like to be broken and rebuilt. That's when mercy stops being something you just receive. It becomes something you live. When you truly understand mercy, you no longer ask for an easy life. You ask for a meaningful one. You stop questioning why things happen and start trusting the wisdom behind them. You stop fearing loss and start seeing every ending as the beginning of something deeper. That's what happens when you stop resisting growth and start embracing surrender. Because the truth is, mercy was never far away. It was simply waiting for you to let go. And when you finally do, life itself becomes lighter, softer, and infinitely more peaceful. That is where mercy truly begins. Most people say they're tired, but the truth is, they're not tired, they're undisciplined. Tiredness often isn't a lack of energy, it's a lack of direction. When your heart doesn't know what it's working toward, even the smallest effort feels heavy. But when you move with purpose, the same effort becomes effortless. Discipline is what gives meaning to your movement. It's not about doing more. It's about staying true when your emotions fluctuate. Because emotions come and go, but discipline stays when motivation disappears. It's what keeps you standing when the excitement fades. You see, we often mistake comfort for rest. We think rest means stopping, withdrawing, giving up for a while. But real rest is peace of mind, not inactivity. When you live without discipline, your mind is constantly restless. You keep starting over, promising yourself change, making excuses, then feeling guilty again. That cycle drains more energy than consistent effort ever would. The real exhaustion doesn't come from working too hard, it comes from being inconsistent. Discipline ends that chaos, it gives structure to your soul. When you wake up with a plan, when your habits align with your purpose, you don't feel tired, you feel alive. There is a hidden mercy in discipline. It looks hard from the outside, but within it lies freedom. The person who is disciplined doesn't waste time on regret or indecision. They know what matters and they act accordingly. You might think that discipline restricts you, but in reality, it liberates you from the prison of your impulses. Every act of discipline is a quiet declaration that you refuse to be ruled by weakness. You decide who you are, not your laziness, not your mood, not your fears. And that's where strength is born. We admire successful people and think they are lucky, but luck is just consistency in disguise. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck isn't talent, it's discipline. The disciplined person does what must be done, even when they don't feel like it. They understand that feelings are temporary, but results are lasting. You might pray for success, for peace, for change, but if your actions don't reflect your prayers, nothing will shift. Faith without discipline is a wish. Discipline is faith in action. It's the proof that you believe the goal is worth the struggle. It's not that life becomes easier with discipline, it's that you become stronger. Your mind stops seeking shortcuts because you've trained it to embrace the process. You begin to realize that greatness is not achieved in one moment of inspiration, but in 1,000 small moments of commitment. Every morning you wake up early, every time you choose focus over distraction, every moment you push through resistance. You are building something eternal within yourself. That's the quiet work that no one sees, but that's what changes your life from the inside out. The truth is, you cannot pray for strength and then run from struggle. You cannot ask for success and reject sacrifice. Discipline is the bridge between prayer and fulfillment, between wanting and having, between potential and reality. It's what turns pain into progress and progress into peace. Because once you master yourself, everything else falls into place. So the next time you feel tired, pause and ask yourself, is it really tiredness, or is it resistance to consistency? Because once you choose discipline, tiredness fades. You stop running in circles and start walking in purpose. You stop making excuses and start making progress. And that is when everything begins to change. Not because life becomes easier, but because you finally become unstoppable. When pain ends and mercy begins, it's not because the challenges in life have disappeared, but because the heart has shifted its understanding. The moment you stop seeing pain as an enemy and start seeing it as a messenger, everything changes. That's when you realize that every hardship was leading you somewhere. Every delay was protecting you from something. And every disappointment was realigning you with a greater purpose. It's easy to believe in mercy when life is smooth, but the true recognition of mercy happens when life is rough and you still find peace. That peace doesn't come from the outside, it's born from within, when you realize that even the pain you went through had meaning. There comes a time when the weight of life feels unbearable, when you question if your prayers are being heard, when you wonder if your efforts are worth it. But it's often in those exact moments that mercy quietly begins to unfold. Not through miracles that change your reality overnight, but through subtle shifts in your heart. You start to breathe differently. You start to see differently. You begin to find strength where you once only saw struggle. Pain has a way of awakening your soul, but mercy teaches it how to heal. Pain pushes you to your knees, and mercy lifts you back up. The beauty of this balance is that pain softens what pride hardens. It breaks the walls you build around your heart, allowing mercy to enter. Without pain, many of us would never stop long enough to listen. Without pain, we would never recognize our need for something greater than ourselves. But once that realization dawns, once you accept that every wound carried wisdom, you stop resisting what's happening and start trusting what's unfolding. That's where true transformation happens, not in escaping your pain, but in learning through it. Mercy isn't the absence of pain, it's the presence of purpose. It's the calm that follows the storm, not because the world changed, but because you did. When mercy enters, you no longer need everything to go your way to be at peace. You start to see blessings in things that once broke you. You begin to understand that mercy doesn't erase the past, it redeems it. It takes what was bitter and turns it into something that nourishes your growth. Every tear you cried was watering a seed that would one day bloom into wisdom. Every hardship that humbled you was preparing your heart for peace. Sometimes mercy arrives quietly. It's not always a sudden relief or an answered prayer. Sometimes it's simply the strength to endure one more day, to keep believing when the outcome is still unseen, That's mercy too, the invisible support that carries you through when you think you can't go any further. It's the moment you realize you didn't survive by your own strength. Something greater was holding you the entire time, and when that awareness takes root, you start living differently. You stop rushing, stop complaining, stop doubting. You start trusting that what's meant for you will never miss you, and what's not meant for you was mercy in disguise. When discipline meets surrender, when effort meets trust, when patience meets faith, that's when pain truly ends. Not because the scars disappear, but because they stop defining you. You look back and realize that every dark chapter was part of a divine story of becoming. Pain didn't destroy you, it revealed your depth. Mercy didn't just comfort you, it rebuilt you. And together, they turned your breaking point into your starting point. That is where pain ends and mercy begins, where you stop merely surviving and start truly living.